So we are going to talk about Bitcoin first here, obviously, and then we will get into Ethereum. But real quick shout out to the sponsors of the stream, PrimeXBT. You guys have been doing super good using that link. I really appreciate it. So use that link, use the promo code MAIN50. If you want to get access to that 7% deposit bonus, you got to put the promo code in before you deposit any money. All right, so shout out to PrimeXBT. Let's get into it. Bitcoin. We're going to start with Bitcoin here. So last week's stream, we were trading this support level here. So we had that breakdown finally occur. We broke down from here, consolidated, broke down again, and then we had this support area at 40K. So we were trading here at this 40K level last week. We had this dump. I went live here. I basically said, listen, my first area where I expect a reaction is at this 12-hour order block, confluent with the 40K SR level, and I thought that we might trade up as high as 42. So I was looking to trade back into this bearish order block, which led to that leg down. But unfortunately, we didn't get that far. We did fill in this fair value gap here, traded up into this fair value gap, which is essentially just this void, this down only price action, traded up into there. On the low time frame, we put in some SFPs and then we sold off. And then on Sunday, we had this sell off, and now we've recovered, right? So we've got our first bounce from this area. It didn't get as high as I thought, and now we're back up here. Technically, we've made a lower low. So this is actually a tricky little area here, because you could argue that this is a lower low and we're going to now put in a lower high here, and we're going to trade lower. The other, kind of argument you could have is that this is actually a big old daily swing failure pattern here, and this might actually send us up, to 42, maybe even higher, and then have a leg down. So I'm a little unsure. I'm gonna have to let a little bit more PA play out before I decide what I want to do. But we're in a tricky little area, but it doesn't change the fact that we got the little bit of relief, and then we had that second leg down. It didn't come as high as I thought it would. I thought we'd come up here. I kind of ignored that fair value gap. If you look at Ethereum, we had basically the exact same plan, right? Last stream, this is the squiggle from last video, so you can take a look at it, freeze that in your mind with my face going like this. Told you so. Fucking told you so. So we came up into here, traded just below 3150, put in that bearish PA, and then had that leg down. So that's what we were expecting. I didn't end up shorting Ethereum or Bitcoin. I ended up shorting some altcoins instead because I thought they would be higher beta, and they were. Now we're right back, above 40K. So this is definitely kind of a key area. And if you want to just have one level on your chart that I think is super relevant, look at that. I was going to say 41.5. I just randomly clicked. I'm off by $11. If that's not precision, I don't know what is. But 41.5 has been a pretty key pivot for a while. So if you look for basically this entire year, 41.5, there's support, traded below, resistance, traded above, nice bounce there. We're back below. And this has been kind of a level that price has oscillated around. So if we're able to trade back above 41.5 here, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little bit of a bounce. How high it goes, I don't know. Maybe we get up to 43, 44. But this seems like a level that, every time we trade below it and then get back above, we get a nice pop to the upside, right? So this could be your deviation. Maybe we get a nice pop to the upside. I want to be very clear. I'm still aiming for another leg down. I still think we're going to trade to 35, 37, and ultimately trade down to the you-know-what line at 30K. So I'm still in that mindset that any bounces from here are ones that you want to be looking for reasons to fade. But just like we've had this rally, and if we have another, which, resulted in a lower high and then a leg down, if we have another rally up here, you don't want to necessarily be shorting too early, and you don't want to be ignoring opportunities on the long side, especially on alts. When Bitcoin has these 5 to 10% rallies, even if the market is bearish as a whole, you see a lot of altcoins bounce really hard and do very well. So you don't want to be completely blind to the long side, but I am still bearish biased based on the high time frame. Okay, if you look at the super high time frame charts, to me this doesn't look like the sell-off is done here. That looks like a lower high on the weekly there, and to me, even if we get a bounce here, I'm pretty sure we're just setting up for, a bounce and then eventually this to crack and then us to come test these lows. That's still what my main thought is based on the high time frame. Obviously, I could be wrong. How would I know I'm wrong? We got to put in some bullish market structure on the higher time frames. But until then, I'm unsure of how high this bounce can potentially go if it's already done. I'm going to talk about a couple scenarios that I'm watching on the lower time frame here to kind of give me a clue. But based on the high time frame, I'm still of the mindset that this does trade lower down to 35. I do think we run these lows. So that's the 35 to 37K area I'm talking about. A run of these lows maybe generate a big bounce. But ultimately, I do think those summer lows and then obviously these lows here, I think eventually get run. The question is, do we get a decent bounce before then? But I'm not convinced that the selling is done. If anything, maybe we come up into this area, entice a bunch of longs again, and then get that sell-off. I'm not really sure yet, but we will talk about some scenarios and some potential trade ideas, and then I'll lay out some plans that will work out perfectly, and then I just won't follow them myself because that would be too easy, and I like to do things on hard mode. So what am I looking at here on the 12-hour? So we have this little swing high here that we've SFP'd. So we have that 12-hour candle close, which was the daily close a few hours ago. Closed as a swing failure pattern, and then we started the new daily with a move up, took out yesterday's high, right? So this is yesterday's daily candle. We took out its high, and we're now trading back below that swing high. So this is something I'm definitely going to be watching here to see how this 12-hour candle closes. If we close through this swing high, I'm pretty sure we take a stab above here up into this level here. But this is the most immediate level I'm watching to see if some bearishness forms and for me to potentially get into shorts. What do I mean by bearishness? This kind of stuff, right? We come up into resistance, swing failure pattern, break in market structure, pull back, retest the bearish order block, sell off. Well, what do we have forming here? Some very long upper wicks, swing failure pattern. Still too early for me to tell. There's not enough here. As you can see, this was several hours, more than several. So there's a handful of hours that went by here before we were confident that this was going to roll over, right? We got the break in market structure. Just because you have an SFP, it doesn't mean the whole move is going to reverse, but it's a good intro signal being like, okay, we ran that high on the 12-hour, closes an SFP. The H1 is putting in some SFPs here, little 3 drives action. Still too early to tell, but something to monitor. We're going to be monitoring this area because this is not what you want to see if you're a bull necessarily at resistance. Right? If you're a bull, you want to see us start closing above this high here, which is that 12-hour swing high. The bulls want to get back above that 48.73 level according to this Bitfinex chart. We want to be trading above there. This is the 15-minute chart, so we're getting quite granular at this point. But if we maybe break this low, right? Close like this. Okay, now we can start building an argument that this is going to pull back potentially deeper. So we've explained the bearish argument. Hopefully that's clear. I'm not short personally yet. I do want to see how this next 12-hour candle closes. If it closed like this, I'd be looking for shorts on the lower time frame, but too early for me to tell. It's only Monday and it's the start of a new day, so too early for me to tell, but this is what I'm watching for now. The bullish argument, now that we've discussed the bearish argument, to me is probably a pullback to here. So the bullish case is that this is a swing failure pattern. Big swing failure pattern here, bought back up. We also had a lot of volume. The last few days on FTX, for example, like the 24-hour trading volume was like $1 billion. $1 billion. That was my Dr. Evil impression. Sounds like a lot. Generally, it's more like 3 to 5. So the market's been a little bit thin. It did pick up near the end of the day today. The stock market was the same. It was extremely illiquid all day. Looked like it was going to eat shit. And then like 20 minutes before the close, it completely retraced the move. But I think the bullish argument is that this is a swing failure pattern here, and you could argue 2 potential setups here. So big swing failure pattern on the daily. Bullish target for that swing failure pattern, in my opinion, at the very least is here. So that's like 42 to 43K, let's call it, at the very least. So this swing failure pattern, sellers are trapped below that level. You push it, you squeeze them to the other direction. This would be the target of that swing failure pattern, right, on the daily. Let's assume that you didn't enter when the daily candle closed, right? Because if you're looking at it, the daily candle closed way up here. Based on the rules of the swing failure pattern, you enter when the candle closes, your stop goes below the low. That looks like shit. If your target is here, your risk reward is garbage. But what you can hope for is that we then retrace into some of this candle and then you get long. So you can zoom into the H12 and you could say, okay, well, this is the breaker. This is the candle that drove price below. We're now back above. You enter here and then target 1, target 2, target 1, target 2. Stop there. Or you zoom in even more, and I like this H4 breaker because it's a lot closer to your invalidation. So you could argue if we pull back here, ran those highs, if we pull back here, you could long this H4 breaker with your stop here and your target being above 42. I think that would give you a better risk reward, and I like that setup. So at 42, we're at 1.5, and then at 43, we're at 2.4, and then as high as maybe 44, you're now at 3R. So that's a potential long scenario that I could see playing out. Pull back, retest this breaker, so your entry zone is 39,700 up to 40K. You could sprinkle some bids in a little bit higher and average your way in. You can do whatever the hell you want. It's not up to me, but that's a potential long scenario I could see playing out based on this low break and reclaim. So effectively, you have a deviation. You're now looking for price to retrace into that deviation and then continue higher. Entice people to short. There's already trapped sellers down here. Pull price back. Enticing people to short. What are people shorting doing? They're selling. There's buying that then occurs on this down leg here, which then propels us higher. And then those buy stops that those people who shorted this high have in place here provide us with fuel to send us even higher. That would be the long scenario. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, guys? So the short scenario, we're watching this candle close on the H12. If it closes bearish like it is right now, let's assume this candle closed as it is right now, I would zoom in on the low time frame, look for potential areas to get short based on the hourly, similar to what we did here. I'd be looking for something similar here, right? So we have those SFPs, we have that 3 drives. Okay, there's your break in market structure. Now I'm looking to sell a pullback with my stop there or my stop there and fill in some of this candle. So that would be the kind of thing we're looking for on the low time frame on the short side. And then on the long side, I think I made it pretty clear. Pull back towards this H4 breaker. See if you can get an entry close to 40,000, and then your target is like 42 to 44. I don't know how high it goes, but ultimately, regardless of how high it goes, I'm looking to then short whatever this leg up is back into 30Ks and lower, because I'm still bearish. I think that high at 48K is a lower high, and I think whatever this bounce might become is another lower high. So let's wait and see. The hourly is looking like kind of like Barty, like the Bart pattern here. It's looking like the beginning of one, but remember, this can chop around here and then go up. It doesn't have to completely retrace the move. Where was this confirmation? Once we got that break in market structure, that's your high confirmation short. Shorting before then is a lot riskier. Unless you zoomed in and got a lower time frame market structure break, you didn't really have confirmation until that market structure broke here. So until we see like a low break and then a pullback, that's when you rip the short, in my opinion. So Ethereum, the price action that we're looking for and that we've seen is the exact same as Bitcoin. So we saw that move up and we saw that extra leg down from support here that when we sold off, I said, okay, we could see a bounce from here into here. And it's basically printing the exact same PA as Bitcoin, right? We have a big swing failure pattern on the daily. So what do you think we can do? Well, we can look for the exact same setup to play out on the low time frame for a long. There's your SFP. We're going to zoom in. There's your breaker. So this is the exact same setup as Bitcoin. We even have the same thing happening at the highs. It's looking like a swing failure pattern right now. So the likelihood of this retracing down here right now seems pretty high. You could look for a long then in this 4-hour breaker. Your risk is here for a move up to 3,300 up into these highs. These are like equal highs here. So if this is going to play out as a long, that would be my target. And I believe the risk reward is decent. 3R, I'll take that. So that would be the exact same setup, exact same logic as the Bitcoin trade. Looking at the H12, just like on the long side, we have very similar PA printing here on the potential short side. Let's see how this candle closes. If it closes as an SFP, I think we're at the very least going to fill in some of this white candle, which would line up with a potential long entry down here. So the game that you're playing right now is, are we going to see another leg down from where we're at? Or is this big run on the low here, is this run on the low enough trapped short sellers to give us a real pop to the upside? I still think this is a lower high. I still think this would end up being a lower high, but that's the bet you're trying to make. And so I don't see an issue with wanting to long a pullback here, saying, okay, they trapped a bunch of people here. Let's pull it back a little bit. Let's long it, and then let's try and catch a long up into here. I see no issue with that at all. I think the trade makes sense from a PA perspective. Your risk is clearly defined. You have an obvious target. So all of those things, tick, tick, tick off your trading plan. I see no issue with taking that as a setup here. I am still, again, though, personally thinking we do trade lower, but maybe we get a lower high, right? Maybe from here to here, right? Look where those equal highs end up playing out. They're right at the OTE. So maybe we come in and we get that lower high, but it happens up here. Okay, before selling off. Or maybe we just sell off from here and it's fucking over. I don't know. But I don't hate the long setup as discussed on both Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm going to wait and see how the next few hours play out. I want to see how this 12-hour closes, and I want to see what price does. If it does in fact pull back down here, I want to see what it looks like. Was this run on the lows enough to give us a relief rally? Or maybe we just go fucking sideways, right? It doesn't have to fucking go up, and it doesn't have to go down. It can chop sideways for a while and fuck people up. Okay, so Ethereum price action and plan basically identical to Bitcoin. Let's see how this next candle closes, and let's go from there. Any significant rally towards 43, 44K, and any significant rally towards 3,300 on Bitcoin and Ethereum respectively, I'm looking to short into if we get that bounce, and I've given you a long trigger that may lead to that bounce. So you can see that I did indeed call it. I told you so. I'm like Nostradamus, except for I'm Trader Main Damus. I called it. I told you so. I was right. You were wrong. Give me the clout. Nextradamus. That sounds way funnier than what I said. I always think I'm like doing good, but I'm actually redacted. Sorry. What the fuck was I saying? I have no idea. And I'm dyslexic, so that's like double trouble. This DW guy in the chat's already pissing me off. DW stands for dick don't work. This guy's obviously upset. He's got an innie for a penis when it should be an outie. It's okay, bro. I understand that your penis is inverted and you're upset about it. Let it out, bro. We're here for you. This is a safe space for you to complain about your small penis, all right? Jeez. I took MDMA. Your stream is wonderful, bro. Get help. I'll kiss you if I chart near. All right, we're no longer going to be charting near. This guy says he's fat and poor. Hey, go to the gym, man. Then you'll be skinny and poor. Say that 10 times fast. Higher beta play. I sound like Obama when I say that. Higher beta play. What's up, sexy streamer, sexy boy? You need to chill, bro. How can I free my mind from such normie simp thoughts? What I would say is find God. Stop masturbating. Hang out with the boys. Or maybe do none of that and do the opposite. Masturbate more. Burn a church down. Don't hang out with the boys. And absolutely become completely unhinged. Yeah, don't burn down a church, guys. Let me be very clear about that. That was a joke. Do not do that. Like a good boy. Do we have a fucking bot in the chat? Is that how I know I made it? DW been real quiet since I exposed his inverted penis. Everyone loved it and it was hilarious. Don't you think that God did a good enough job making fun of BitBoy just with how he constructed him? The man's built like a beanbag chair. You gonna box him in Dubai? I don't think he's invited to Dubai, and I also don't think we're in the same size class. I'm 6'2", 200 pounds. I'm pretty sure he's about 5'4", 700 pounds, so it wouldn't be fair. Any YouTubers I recommend? Yeah, me, motherfucker. What the fuck you mean? I'm seeing it in advance because I'm like Neo in the fucking Matrix, okay? I'm on the red pill. You need to take the red pill, pop the bean, and start seeing how I see it. I see it everywhere now. I see it in my day-to-day life. It's like I'm fucking snorting Molly and cocaine and dancing in the desert. You gotta eat less of those mushrooms, bro. It's melting your mind. Drugs are bad, bro. Unless it's the weekend. Then they're fun. We're looking at near. This guy says, Trader Man, how about you get near some bitches? That's funny. That's very funny. Ban this man from the chat immediately and never let him come back. I make the jokes. Like, look, DW, he talks shit at the start of the stream, hasn't said a word since. You want to know why? It's because he's in the bathroom trying to figure out how he can pee when his penis points inside. It doesn't make any sense. It's a scientific anomaly. Guy says, so it could go up or down. Yeah, exactly. It could go up or down. That's how trading works.